folks, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I am today going to be talking to the absolutely lovely Jas, who's going to be telling us all about her journey into holistic sleep coaching. So welcome, Jas.
Hi, Lyndsey. Thank you for having me.
It is an absolute pleasure. Would you just kick us off by telling us basically a little bit about yourself and your work as a holistic sleep coach?
Sure thing. Yes, I am Jas Kaur. I am a mum of three. Now, as a holistic sleep coach, I support parents overcome challenges that they may be facing with their baby or child. Now, this may be night wakes, it might be bedtime battles, it might be helping a baby settle with another carer, moving the child into another bedroom, for example, or their cot. Now, I feel that part of my role as a holistic sleep coach is not only to support parents with these types of challenges, but also to help them set realistic expectations of their child's sleep, normalizing night waking, for example. That's such a big one, and making parents understand that actually they've not done anything wrong and that's not why their little one's waking up, but it's actually a normal part of their biology. Now, as a coach, I also feel that my role, I need to encourage parents to tune into their baby or child's cues. Now, it's not only about sleep. I feel with our holistic approach, it's very much looking at their unique baby. Now, I've got three, and three of mine are very different. And it's so important that when I work with a family, that we look at each child uniquely, and there's no one size fits all approach. But the other thing is matching a family's parental instinct with the cues that their baby's giving you. So really trying to align these powerful motherly intuition with our baby's cues is probably what I see myself doing a lot
Yeah,
of the times with families.
yeah. And is that something that was important to you before you got into the program and supporting other families?
I feel that the program gave me the confidence to say, we don't need to sleep train. We don't need to follow this schedule that's on these apps or is written in a magazine or a book, or it's worked for another child and it must work for my child. But I did know that sleep training and non-responsive techniques wasn't for me, but I didn't know what was for me. But doing the course made me understand, actually, I know what's best for my baby. You know, I needed the confidence. I needed someone else to tell me that actually what your baby is doing is normal, and waking up every 2 hours in the first few months of life. It's hard, but it's very normal. That was an icebreaker for me, really, in my
Yeah,
parenting.
yeah. That piece changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When you move from this is hard and it's a problem I need to fix to this is hard and it's also normal, and how can I make it easier for myself to get through it?
Yeah.
It's subtle, but it makes a big difference to your psychology, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And I think when you realize there's so many other mothers out there that don't want to sleep train, but they want to find that kind of middle ground, or they didn't know there was a middle ground. And once they find out, actually aligning our baby's cues and their temperament and their behavior with what we feel that they need. Yes, timing is to do with it as well, but really, first of all, just removing that expectation of
Yeah.
must do this, must do that. But actually, things are working for you at the moment. It's okay to go with it.
Yeah, amazing. So can you tell us a little bit about what you were doing before you got into sleep coaching?
So before I went into sleep coaching, I was working as a project manager within the NHS, doing lots of projects, from working with GP practices, doing the primary care staff survey. And I really did enjoy it. I really did enjoy it. But there's definitely a need for holistic sleep consultants, because there's so many mums out there that need the support, don't know where to go to. And if they do know where to go to, if it doesn't fit with them, I guess it's quite difficult, isn't it? So yeah, there was definitely a calling there for me, Lyndsey, after that first call with you that I had.
So what was the big change then? What made you think, I've got to do this, I've got to train? Was there a tipping point, or was it something you experienced, or what happened?
There, to be honest, ever since I was at uni, I knew I wanted to do my own business.
Okay.
Didn't know what it was, had no idea what it was. I had a lot of experience with like Dragon's Den competitions and all of that. I remember doing it from when I was very little, actually, one at school, quite a few at university, and I just didn't know what it was. But I guess with my personality, supporting friends that had babies, supporting family members, and just random conversations. I was never shy to say, oh, have you tried this? And I just feel that I've always had that kind of coaching personality, and I've been quite confident. And I guess with me, when I came across and stumbled across sleep support, and I needed it at the time as well, I felt, yeah, I think this is it.
It sounds like this has always been who you are. This is part of your personality. You always knew that was what you wanted to do. And there was a businesswoman inside you anyway. But how did the program then help you develop the way that you now support families?
Massively. I had no idea there was so much evidence behind some of the things that I was feeling. There's a lot of techniques out there that we can support babies. You know, it's not just about shutting the door and saying, okay, in 5 minutes, I'm going to go in and hug them and cuddle them to sleep. But actually, it helped me understand how to get to the root cause of a night wake, for example. So even though I was supporting families and saying, you know what, my firstborn, like he wakes up every 2 hours, it is very hard, it is very normal. Have you tried this or have you tried that? But this time, after doing the course, I realized actually there's not only one or two techniques that I've been using on my child, but there's hundreds of other techniques. And with my eldest, I used to think he was very shy and very sensitive. He's very reserved. Now I look back to when he was 1 year old, that it was shining through then, but I've seen it as a negative. Whereas now, having done the program, I realize actually that was a very unique side of him that I seen as a negative point, but actually it was positive. And thinking back now, when I'm supporting families, I don't just look at my experience with my 3 children, although that comes through naturally, but actually from the coaching that I got from yourself and the other specialists that you had on board, I have so much more knowledge that I wouldn't have had before joining the program.
That sounds amazing. All of that confidence, realizing that it's not just about personal experience, and kind of turning that empathy that you had into something that was really robust and evidence-based, with that respect for individual variability. I love all of that. Now, was there a moment for you when you felt like all of the training was beginning to come together and it was beginning to affect the way that you were supporting families?
Yeah, definitely. There was a little bit of that when I started implementing what I was learning to my youngest.
Yeah.
Now, he was about 10 months at the time. It was a nice feeling, like, okay, this is working. I'm getting more sleep. I know a gentler way of weaning him off the breast, for example, when I'm ready. And that was nice. But oh my goodness, the best part was when I was supporting a family and she texted me saying, wow, Jas, everything you told me, I've implemented. And it was only about 4 or 5 days later, and she'd had a huge improvement. And she had 2 children. One was about 1, I think, and the other one was slightly older, 3 or 4. And we were working on both of them. But for me, it was a safe spot because I wasn't charging. It was a free kind of sport just for me to get my fingers in working with a different family. And the messages I was getting from her really gave me a huge boost.
Amazing.
Felt, yeah, this is definitely for me. And the other part of it wasn't just sleep that I was supporting with. I find myself a little bit of potty training, a little bit of feeding, and it was all from, majority of it was from the coaching that I got from you, Lyndsey. It wasn't just my experience because, as I say, I know I have 3 young children that are very different. Even that is not enough to go and support the hundreds of families that I've now supported. That alone wouldn't have got me as far as
Yeah.
the program was.
Yeah, I love that, because you trained with us how many years ago now?
3.5, 4 years ago
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
So you've supported hundreds of families, and we're so proud of you. But what's so lovely is it's not about the 100, because you can still remember that first family that you ever worked with. And I love that. Like, fast forward 4 years, is there a particular client or success story that you're particularly proud of? Of all those hundreds of families, is there something that sticks out for you?
There's a few, and I guess it's important for me to say that the few that stick out for me were probably the hardest. And by hardest, the holistic approach wasn't working at first. And this is the beauty of it, is once you start doing things holistically, you start realizing that there's underlying issues that's affecting that child that the sleep training and non-responsive techniques would not have picked up on. And there's one particular family that She was very open and honest with me after, I think it was about 4 weeks, and I knew inside that something wasn't working. And I had another call with her and encouraged her. I said, look, let's go to the doctors. She didn't mention it in the first call, but the call that I had, she mentioned that the little one was sleeping with his mouth open. And I said, you need to go to the doctors. Let's get this seen. And for a good 2 or 3 months, she ended up going to seeing an ENT specialist. And there was underlying issues. Once those issues had been seen to, she started implementing. Most of our calls were recorded. So she went back, she listened to them. She was still touching base with me. And I'm not the type to just let a family go. I don't think anyone that's trained from you, Lyndsey, would just let a family go when they're in a sleep crisis. And it was a good 6-7 months later, and I had another call with her, and she says, Jas, the things that you've been telling me is now starting to work. And just in my parenting, my husband's even on board now, because he can see that we had to see to that issue first. And I think it's funny how that one's coming to me more so than all the families that I've worked with, where in 2 weeks things have got much better. But it's important that you understand, if you're looking for a holistic approach to supporting families, that this is the course for you, because you're not just saying, yeah, we're going to do a gentle approach and you're going to give them a few techniques to go and try. We're literally with you every step of the way, because one holistic approach, even though it's gentle, might not be the right one for you. It might be that we have to work a little bit deeper, and then it might be that a different approach that comes forward or shines through a little bit more than the one before.
Yeah, I love that, because of course it's not about your skills and knowledge as a sleep coach that's necessarily going to mean that that one child sleeps through 4 or 5 or 6 days later. And I love the fact that you're reflecting that some children do have really quick responses to a gentle holistic approach, and other kids, there's something else going on and we need to help the family figure it out.
Yeah.
Love that. Thank goodness for you. So is there anything that surprised you about the support that you received on the program?
So what surprised me was, I was expecting, lots of information to read, lots of articles to read. However, I got a lot of support live. So the weekly calls with you, Lyndsey, were super helpful, not only to answer my questions, but even if I didn't have a question, it was a highlight of my week. I wanted to jump on, listen to some of the questions that others were asking. And even though I felt I knew the answer, actually, as you were speaking, you would give a different perspective. It was a huge learning curve for me, and I didn't ever feel alone. It was COVID back then, and sitting, learning, it was never something that I felt, okay, I'm alone, because there were so many of us. We had the Facebook group, and I'm sure you'll have the Facebook group now for anyone that joins. And it's like a constant reminder, you are part of a community.
Yeah, yeah. I love our community.
Yes.
It's lovely to be surrounded by so many like-minded people, isn't it? And you
Definitely.
mentioned before that there was this kind of businesswoman inside you. You always wanted to start your own business. How did that part go? So obviously you've talked about the sleep knowledge. What about the business and marketing part of the program?
It's nice how you say that I've got this businesswoman in me. Yes, I've had that, but there's always a feeling of, oh goodness, am I actually going to do this? Can I do this? And there's like a huge overwhelm of self-doubt. But with this program, it stands out because you've got Emma on board as well. Now, Emma is, for those of you who don't know, Emma is a marketing expert. She is with us along the way. There's marketing modules as well, business modules. We could have weekly calls with Emma as well. And similarly, if you've got any sleep questions for Lyndsey, we can put our marketing questions forward to Emma, which was a huge help as well. Any self-doubt that I had, I just felt, actually, I've got the support for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, Emma's a guru, isn't she? She's forgotten more than I will ever know about business and marketing, that's for sure. Now, you were obviously working for the NHS before. How has becoming a sleep coach impacted your personal life, your work-life balance? You've got 3 kids. Like, how does this all work for you, Jas?
I'm not going to lie and say it's very smooth sailing. It's definitely not. There was a lot of working in the evenings, 8 o'clock, 8:30 onwards. And I remember right at the start of my business, I wouldn't put calls in at 8 o'clock or 8:30, whereas once I started implementing all the changes and started to get mine to sleep on time without that first wake, the first wake after 40 minutes and having to go back up to settle them, once they started getting settled, it was very easy for me to put in 8 o'clock consultations or just to have my head down to create my content. So it's definitely helped with my work-life balance in the sense that they are sleeping better and I was getting a bit more time to myself. But I guess on the other hand, it was really trying to figure out, am I ready to leave the NHS? Do I want to do this full time? And I did feel actually, if I had 2 or 3 families on at the one time, that I needed more time for myself because there's always stuff going on in our own families. And I was still working at the NHS at that time as well. So I found that I was only taking on 1 or 2 families so that I had time to just offload anything that might have triggered me from working with a family, because a good coach will never put forward what you're going through. Small, big, little, whatever it is, even if it's just one bad night, I will still have bad nights after 4 years of knowing sleep will always be up and down with our children. But until you look after yourself, I don't do it enough, I know. But until you look after yourself, you won't be able to be there for your families. I mean, your own family and your own children, but also the families that you're working with. So I guess what I'm trying to say is underlying everything is your mental health, your physical health. I'm being very good since I've left the NHS. I've been very good at going to the gym. And for me, this is not for everyone, but for me, that was my kind of getaway. I needed that 30-minute workout squashed into my day to make sure that I am the best coach to the families that I'm working with, and more importantly, the best mum I can be to my very challenging and lots of emotions that fly around with children under 8 years old. Yeah,
It's a
it's
lot.
very important.
It's a lot,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what does a typical kind of week look like for you now?
So a typical week for me, dropping the kids off, that kind of morning rush, Monday to Friday. Usually go straight to the gym, try not to put too many calls in the morning, go to the gym, have my workout. Sometimes if I don't have calls, I work from the gym. We have a quiet area, and there I will be working on whether it's writing up sleep plans or working on any sleep guides or courses. I've got quite a few courses coming up now, and then going home, having lunch, and getting onto my phone calls with consultation follow-ups or any new families that are working with me. And then before I know it, it's school pickup. Once we've done one, school, kids dinner, bed, I guess it's planning for the rest of the week, really. In the evenings, it's usually admin work in between school things, really. I feel
Yeah.
there's admin that I've got to do for my coaching, but then again, the school admin and the school emails times 3, could you imagine? And I have to add in the school WhatsApp groups. I'm on about 10 ringing all the
That's
time.
like a part-time job, isn't it, in
It
itself?
really is. It really is. And I'm definitely not trying to put you off the coaching program at all, but I guess it adds to it. It's definitely the more exciting side of my day is the coaching. If you've got the passion for it and you want to support others in a holistic manner, it's definitely for you.
Yeah, wonderful. And is there a particular passion of yours within sleep? So is that an age group or is it a particular community? Can you tell us, like, do you love it all, or is there something that you particularly love doing?
I do love it all. I definitely love it all. I love working with toddlers. I love seeing the change. I feel that a lot of the time when I work with a family that's got a toddler and it's that kind of bedtime battles that they're struggling with, I love seeing the change from evenings are the worst time for me, Jess. And I say, okay, that's good. I love hearing that because by the time we work together, hopefully we're going to strive to make it the most enjoyable time for you as a family. It's the only time everyone's usually together with the mum, dad, the children, and seeing that transform in a holistic manner without the tears is something that I always look forward to. But you also mentioned culture there. I absolutely love working with families with a similar culture because I feel there's not enough of us. There's not enough sleep coaches out there that understand the different cultures and I guess differences in family circumstances and situations. And those families that do come to me, they will say, Jas, you will understand this, whereas some other coaches may not. So I do love working with families within my culture as well.
Yeah.
It's definitely a positive. Yeah.
And is
Yeah.
there something you do to encourage that? Do you do any community outreach, or do you have a particular program that you've developed?
I haven't developed anything specifically. However, I do work very closely with an organisation called Kiddie Sangha. Now, in the Sikh Gurdwaras, there's quite a lot of Kiddie Sangha groups where we'll bring the children together in the Gurdwara environment, and the mothers can safely get their child used to that environment. They get to meet other mothers that may be having the same issues. And I feel with sleep training, a lot of mothers have said to me, I can't sleep train because my brother-in-law and my father-in-law, we live in bigger families and it just doesn't work. Other children are there trying to sleep as well. It's not going to work. And whether or not it fits right with them, they can't do it because of family situation. So when they come to me, they would say, and actually, I would love a holistic approach to support sleep in my household. So it's definitely huge positives of working with those families in my community.
That's amazing. I love all of that work that you're doing. I love the fact that you love it all, but you're also doing some really specific work within the Sikh community because, you know, you're a rare breed, aren't you? And it's harder for people to relate to somebody who is outside of their culture. Thank you so much for all your work. We are so proud of you. And just as we wrap up, what would you say to somebody who wanted to join the program or who was thinking of training as a holistic sleep coach, isn't sure it's for them?
Yeah, goodness, I have a lot to say. If you are wanting the gentle approach to sleep, you can't go wrong with Lyndsey's program because there's no one more experienced or as lovely as Lyndsey. You won't find a gentler approach. If you are someone who is unsure about the business side of things and unsure about the marketing, you have Emma as well, who is our marketing expert on board. You don't have anything to worry about on that side either. And on the other hand, if you're not worried about the business side of things and you're not worried about training from Lyndsey, but you might be feeling, oh, okay, I don't know anyone else that's doing it, or I feel quite alone in this. You can't feel alone when you're on this program because you will be on a Facebook group. And I've been on it for 4 years now. And sometimes I see the questions popping up. You will not feel alone. If you've got a question or if you're struggling with a family, if it's not Lyndsey or Emma responding, one of the other sleep coaches will respond to you without a doubt. So don't feel that you don't have anyone with you. You'll definitely have the support. You've got the weekly calls as well. Even if you just want a chit chat or if you're not having a good day, you can come on and there'll be a lot of smiley faces staring back at you to give you that instant boost. But for me, 100%, I would encourage anyone that is thinking about it to join.
Oh, you are a superstar. We are very proud of how far you've come and all that you're doing within your community, but also you've got a much wider reach than that. And if anybody wants to work with you, how can they get in touch?
So I have my website, jas-kaur.com, or you could email me as well.
Yeah, and we will put all of those links below so you can easily get in touch with Jas if you want to work with her, or if you want to ask her questions about the program as well. Yes. But for now, thank you so much. I've absolutely loved talking to you. Thank you for sharing your experience.
No, thank you, Lyndsey. Amazing speaking to you.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. If anybody else is interested in the program, feel free to go ahead and book a call. You can do that at holisticsleepcoaching.com/apply and get in touch. We would love to hear from you. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.